Hello, all of you who are following us on the DW Africa 77%, DW Africa page. This is a live conversation you're going to have on this page looking at Ghana, the economy in Ghana, and the challenges that the economy has faced, and how things are being done by the government to fix the problem. What citizens really make of it, what analysts think ought to be the way forward. My name is Isaac Kalaji, and for this conversation this morning, I have on the panel Roberta Foley, who is a young entrepreneur. She runs the Style Hub Enterprise. Also on the panel is Mr. Bernard Adjei, who is the General Secretary of the Public Sector Workers Union of the TUC. TUC actually is the biggest trade union congress in Ghana. And then you have also John Ebri, who is with the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. He's one of the spokesperson for GUTA. Also joining us now is our economist, who is Dr. Daniel Amate, who has just joined the conversation. So these are our guests for the conversation this morning. Welcome. And may just share the page or the link to other people to join so that we can have a very wonderful conversation this morning. Let me say good morning to all of you. Just say hi to our viewers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay. Before we start, I want us to first hear from some ordinary Ghanaians who have been sharing their current feeling about the Ghanaian economy. Once we are done, we'll come and start a conversation.
Now, inflation, when you look at Ghana now, inflation is very, very high. I think it's more than 19 years that we've seen something like that. And the prices of products and goods have gone very, very high. And it is affecting traders terribly. We are all losing our capital, as I tell you now, because things are not good at all. It comes to purchasing power of the average Ghanaian. It has been reduced drastically. Now people cannot even come to town to buy what they want to buy. Coupled with the fuel prices and other things, it is very, very difficult for the average Ghanaian trader.
We cannot testify that now there's inflation on everything. Food commodities, fuel prices. So as an average Ghanaian, I receive a salary of 600 cedis. So with 600 cedis, my transport now is like I pay twice of what I used to pay. With an amount of 10 cedis, I can't get a decent meal. So getting 3 square meals a day, and with the salary I have, transport and all that, it's really difficult. This time it's really difficult.
It's really, really hard now. It's really hard now because formerly we used to buy things at easy price, but now things are very high. You know, and initially we were writing, I think, 4.25 VAT for the percent, but now we are writing 19.25. So you just imagine things are very, very hard now in the economy.
How are you able to survive with that?
So the survivor, that's what I'm saying. You know, as a citizen, I will not say it is too harsh on me. I believe we have to move forward. But if what they are doing or the government is doing is good to help the citizen, we are okay to move. But it's not easy. As we are talking right now, it's not easy. You know, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it can be easier, sometimes rough. So for me personally, I'm finding it very difficult. Yeah, I have a family, I have a wife, I have children, and then I have to also cater for their school fees, and all these are coming with more interest. You understand? Saving at the bank also is another whole thing. The interest rate now is high. So this is what I can say for now. But personally, for me, it's difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult.
Okay, so I'm sure we've heard from these Ghanaians. Let me go to you, Mr. Adjei. You are in the public sector. What do you make of these concerns that have been shared by these Ghanaians? Is it similar to your situation?
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on this program. Well, obviously, what ordinary Ghanaians have shared is also different from the experience we have as workers. Also, we are part of the Ghanaian population. So all these things are common, And that is what we are feeling on the ground. The high inflation, the high prices of goods and services, decreasing purchasing power. I mean, to put it simply, as you have just added to us, things are hard, very, very, very hard. And looking at the fact that the average older Ghanaian worker cannot take care of an average family, then it's a serious matter that deserves all the necessary attention. It's a crisis, no doubt about that. And I believe that is the reality on the ground, and people are just suffering.
Roberta, you are also a young entrepreneur. How is the situation for you? Roberta, if you can just unmute, yeah. If you can just unmute your mic, yeah. Great.
Sorry.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Right. So I was saying the video did not play in my browser. I don't know why, but with the discussion, I think that things are generally hard everywhere. As a very young entrepreneur, I mean, I started this business when I was doing my national service, and judging from then and now, I don't know. I mean, trying to get stock is so difficult because prices are outrageously high. They are high, and then most of my clientele are the working class. And then if they are also complaining, then what am I going to eat? Do you understand? So things are very hard. My income has gone down over the past 6 months. When I check my books, it's just very sad. And as a very young entrepreneur who just started this on a kind of a large scale, because I'm growing my business from just something small to something big, getting a physical store, because right now it's only online, and the plan was to get a physical store this year. But looking at things and the economy, it's not happening anytime soon. So yeah, things are very, very hard for me as a young entrepreneur.
Ms. Obri, you are in the market. Can you share with us the situation there?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Business has been tough over these days due to the inflation crisis and how the cedi depreciated. We've lost a lot. A lot has been going on. Aside that, we've lost life, because you can imagine when you are going in for a loan to beef up your business, and all of a sudden this tragedy step in, you have no any other choice than to hope for the best. So we haven't had it easy. Almost like a year now, things have been very, very difficult, but we are praying and hoping maybe we can see changes as some reflection are being seen. So far so good. We can't complain. We are just enduring this challenge.
Doc, you've heard from the workers, the traders, and those doing business. They complain about the economy. I'm wondering, why are we in this situation?
Thank you very much. It's quite unfortunate that at this moment in our lives, we have to endure these difficult moments. All the things that were shared by my other panelists are the true reflection of what is actually actually happening within the domestic economy. Yes, to answer you, if you recall, prior to COVID, the data released by Ghana Statistical Service, Bank of Ghana, and that of Ministry of Finance seeks to suggest that the economy was growing around about 7% of GDP. Then when COVID set in, everything got distorted. But largely, I'm of the view that managers of the economy couldn't actually outline policies that will really anchor the economy very well. So what COVID did was to open up our wounds. There has already been some cracks. More importantly, we borrowed so much and we couldn't really use it to anchor the economy. In fact, borrowing itself is not bad, but when you borrow, you need to ensure that it is invested in the critical sectors of the economy to bring about ripple effect. That was not well done. And to me, I've seen so many policies outlined by the government. So there's a policy disconnect, and that is also another factor. With our expenditure increasing on a daily basis, hoping that we'll have the space to go to the capital market to borrow. And here we are with liquidity issues here and there. So mismanagement of the economy, the issue of corruption, policy disconnect, they are the major things that the government over the years failed to address holistically. And that's the reason which with COVID and then with recent Russia-Ukraine war, and the situation have exacerbated as we see it now.
Now, we are told that, of course, a lot has happened, and we are told government is now headed to the IMF. Can you help us understand the implications of what happened a couple of days ago when we are told that a staff level agreement has been reached for an IMF deal?
Yeah, thank you very much. IMF, if you resort to IMF for a bailout, it doesn't just take a day. They need to peruse your data, look at the policies, understand the issues on the ground. So when we say staff level agreement has been done, what it means is that there has been analysis of our macroeconomic indicators. They've looked at our debt level. They've looked at the policies that government wanted to use to bring about macroeconomic stability. They've currently analyzed our inflationary data, the debt stock, and exchange rate regime, and then they are now satisfied that indeed they can come on board to support the country. So staff level agreement simply means that they've gone through our records. They now have a better appreciation of what is happening, and there's the need for them to come on board to support us. So once the staff agreement level has been agreed, the next one has to do with the board level, for which then about 70% of the job is done. So we are likely to receive the funding from the IMF. So basically, or simply put, the staff level agreement simply means that they've gone through our books. They now have a better understanding of our challenges and the difficulty we're facing. They've perused the kind of policies that the government has outlined to bring about macroeconomic stability or to reset the economy back on track. And they are now satisfied. So what it means is that they are now making a strong case for Ghana for the consideration at the board level. So just like indicated earlier, we are more likely to finalize the deal with the IMF. So basically, that's what it means.
But that has come with a lot of concern. Workers, for example, Mr. Adjei and his group are complaining about the implication because there's ought to be a debt restructuring. I'll come to you to just explain that to us. But Mr. Adjei, I thought that Ghana going to the IMF should be a good news that I should celebrate. But workers like yourself are unhappy. What really is your problem with the processes that are supposed to be leading towards the bailout?
Much. I must make it clear that our views as Labour on IMF are well known, and without a doubt, we are opposed to IMF policies for the simple reason that we don't think they come for our good. That is one. They only come to impose hardships on us. Now, if the past, our history has been anything to go by, we've been to the IMF 17 times already, but it has not solved our problems. It has not. So it tells you plainly that going to the IMF is not a solution to our problems. It only comes with hardships. It only comes to make sure things are good for other people to benefit from, but for the ordinary citizens and workers, for that matter, it has not inured to our benefit. It is also like doing the same things and expecting different results. So we must get it clear, and that's why we were happy and we proposed the Social Partnership Council, so that which government agreed in the beginning, so that we could develop policies on our own after the last IMF program and be able to take charge of our economy. Unfortunately, government did not allow it to work. there was not even a single policy or program that the Social Partnership Council, which is made up of people from industry, labor, and government itself. So for us, we don't agree with that. We think it's not helpful, and that is why the hardships that are coming, we are foreseeing it. Now, as to the processes, government has once again lived up to their billing. That is, they've not handled this whole process very well. And that is why we also believe that then our pension funds, because these are our monies, it is not for government, it is not for anybody, it's for us as individuals, it's our pension monies. Now, if government intends to use it and does not even think it's necessary and important to have us at the table to have this discussion and think they can by force just take our pension monies, then they got it wrong. So government can do whatever we need to do to bring back the economy on track. We are ready as workers to support any efforts that will make sure that we come back on track. But we want to say never again. And before we go into that conversation, we are saying exempt our pension funds. If you exempt it, then we can now come and sit down, because that's the only social security we have. Already, we know the situation our pensioners are living in. We decided to change to a new pension scheme so that it could improve people's pension. But my brother, due to the implementation challenges that we encountered and how things have been managed, we are not yet realizing the benefits even of the new scheme. And you can check, those who retired from 2020 up to now on the new scheme, majority of them are even getting lower lump sum than those who are who retired on the old SNIT scheme. That is the reality. So to further do this to us, to our pensions, we say is unreasonable, and our demands simply are that government take out our pension funds. If you are serious about getting this this economic crisis in control and getting things back on track, then do that, and then come, let's sit down. Let's have all the stakeholders, people who speak for workers and ordinary citizens, the unions, should be at the table. People in industry, okay, we have the Association of Ghana Industry, the Ghana Employers Association, so that the interests of people like Roberta and John can be taken care of. We have experts, academics who are around. We have the financial sector who are also around. We all need to sit and find solution to this. Should not be left to just a few people, which will be doing the same things, and 6-8 years to come, we'll be facing this problem again. So we are opposed to it, but that is the modus operandi government has chosen. No problem. But for now, our pensions funds should be exempted, and then we can all sit down and agree on the best way to get out of it. But IMF would not help us.
Okay, I'll come to John and Roberta very soon about their views on the IMF deal, whether it will help them. But Doc, can you just help us understand why Mr. Adjei, for example, and other workers are concerned about their pensions in terms of the issue of restructuring of debt and what the implication is for ordinary Ghanaians and people who have been creditors to government over the years?
Yeah, thank you very much. I share the sentiment and the predicament of organized labor. Just like he rightly stated, the impact or the implication is that their monies with government in the form of bonds has now been rescheduled or restructured, and the expected returns as well as the principal expected has now been put somewhere 2037. What it means is that if next year they need a certain quantum of that money to be able to sort pensioners out, they will not be able to have access to that money.
Hello, Doc. Hello? Yeah. I think we've lost Doc. So before he comes back, let me just ask Mr. Bree, John, just share with us as trader, do you think that the IMF deal really is the way to go to help your situation?
No, media, to our opinion, if the government thinks consulting the IMF will bring a positive change, then that's okay. But what we are interested in is for the government to continue to stabilize the CD appreciation so that prices of goods can be reduced and effective buying and selling. That is what we, the traders, we are looking for. We've been through hardship, which we've already talked about. But at the end of the day, Guta is our business. And we are also, I would say, one way or the other, an intermediary to, the final consumer and also how we can also import. So at the end of the day, we are looking up to them. When you do good, we will praise you. When it goes wrong, to trust me, we can't forgive you because we are losing a lot. You have no idea how much people have lost.
But I'm talking about the CD appreciating. We told that indeed this week, last week to this week, things have stabilized for the CD. Is that affecting or reflecting in your prices in the market? Because some consumers are complaining about that. Can you hear me, John?
Again, please.
Yeah, I was saying that Ghanaians have been complaining that even though their CD is stabilizing, they are yet to see it or feel it in their pocket. I'm wondering, as Guta, are we seeing the reflection in your prices in the markets?
um, I think it's 3 weeks now. We started seeing some changes, and trust me, I would say it's too early though, but we still also need to adjust to our prices because at the end of the day, we are all citizens and we are looking for the best way. We are very grateful to the government for helping to at least stabilize the inflation rate in the country now. We don't know the future though, but trust me, we are also going down, talking to the sectors. We have different various associations, and I think it's also reflecting. Just yesterday, we had the dollar or the import value used for we importers at the port. It has dropped from 13 to 8, and the margin is very huge. We are very happy and grateful because we are getting to the festive season, and that is what we are all looking at. But the issue also is that we've already spent so much, which we know. So this situation, trust me, sometimes it's not easy. But we are appealing to our members, the traders, that this is the situation. We all need to jojo and try so that each and everyone can have a good this festive season, can enjoy. When you go to the likes of Abosokai, they had a press release reducing their items. When you go to Kantamantu too, it's reflecting. But I think it's a gradual process. You shouldn't expect so much that the drop will come just at once, because we need to also regain some of the lost, so that at least when things stabilize. But what we are also telling the government that he shouldn't just use this as a strategy whereby you are going to reduce the prices and later you see boom again. There is a saying the tree as to throw me no money. If he knows he cannot continue or cannot complete, he shouldn't come and just touch the grounds, because we are also putting the trust. They are appealing to we the traders, and we are also coping with the situation. Initially, we met with the Council of State with this situation. It got to a time we did a lot of demonstration all about the city. So if we have seen that it's appreciating, we are going by our ways, uh, educating the people, advising them to calm down a little bit so that the final consumer can also at least enjoy. So yeah, it will come. The changes will come, but don't expect it just as soon as possible. It's a gradual process.
Okay, Roberta, I don't know whether indeed you are feeling it when you go to buy things to resell or whatever it is. Just share with me what do you make first of all about government's effort to stabilize the situation, and then whether indeed, like what John is saying, indeed you're feeling it in your pocket?
Hello, I didn't get that. Can you please come again?
So I was asking whether, first tell me what you make of government's decision to go to the IMF. Do you think it will help you? And whether you are really feeling the impact of the current stabilization of the city.
Hello.
Yeah, Roberta, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes. Okay, so
I don't know.
it appears.
It keeps breaking.
Okay. Maybe we'll have to find a way to fix this. But while I do that, let me just bring in. Is it okay now? Can you hear me? Okay, you can. Okay, so let me just bring in Doc. I see how we can fix the better sound and then have her back on. But let me start with Doc. Please, before you left, you were telling us about the debt restructuring and what really it meant. Because Mr. Adjei was talking about they not willing to let their pension funds be sacrificed. Share with our viewers what really is the situation with debt restructuring and why are people losing out, for example, like the pension funds and other creditors.
Yeah, that we've gotten to a stage where it's very difficult for government to mobilize liquidity. In other words, government is broke and government is unable to pay debts as and when they fall due. So in order not to say, oh, look, I'm unable to pay you, let's restructure the debt so that I could extend the duration for the payment. So exactly that's what government is doing. So what government is doing is that, look, I owe you, your payment is due, I have to pay you principal plus interest. I don't have any money to pay you. And the deal is that I am extending the payment to a later date. So that is basically about the restructuring. So for government, it's a very positive news because government will not have that space, the fiscal space, to be able to mobilize resources and generate sufficient inflow for the future repayment. But for the investor, like the pension funds, like from my brother from the labor union, they are going to be affected. Why are they going to be affected? They'll be affected because they need the money now to do ABC. And government is saying that it's not going to pay you now. The question is, where are you going to get the money? Pensioners' money, they are going on pension. Some of them probably will need that money to be able to finish their structure. I mean, that they might have started. Some of them may need it as a seed money to start something small. Some of them may need it to be able to live on it on retirement. And government is saying that you are not going to pay that money now. How on earth are they going to survive? Okay, so that brings about a very critical issue. Their living condition could be affected by virtue of this arrangement. You know, my only worry is that when this policy cropped out, government failed to kind of engage the union, engage actors who were involved in this particular process, so that they could offer alternative. Of course, government have stated that they have engaged the regulators so that to mitigate the effect of their action. But I'm of the view that if critical stakeholders were consulted from the beginning and they appreciate why government is moving in that direction, all this labor unrest could not have happened. So government has failed in that particular respect. So when you talk about debt restructuring, basically, government is broke. Government is saying, I don't have the money to pay you. I know I owe you. I'm coming out with a new arrangement. I'm pushing the repayment into a future date. Give me some time. And when we get there, I'll be able to sort it out. So that's the meaning.
But we've also heard that, and this is dealing with the local creditors because that's internal debt restructuring. But of course, we've heard about government defaulting in paying external debt. Can you tell us about that as well and what the implications are for the economy?
Yeah, thank you very much. If I recall, Monday, October 3rd, my institute issued a press release cautioning government to handle this debt restructuring very well. And the kind of things I've indicated is what is happening now. Yes, with the external debt restructuring, its impact basically is that it could affect the country's ability to borrow from the international community in the near future. Because once the restructuring is affecting them, it will affect our credit rating, it will affect our credibility. I'm referring to credit credibility in the eyes of the global investors. So in the near future, if we should go to the market, they'll be very careful about it, because this move could further lead to a further downgrade by the rating agencies. So we are in a very difficult situation, and what is happening now in an attempt to respond or to reset the economy back to track, the moves that we are taking could not be too positive in my view. Just like I indicated, domestically to affect our people, externally, external creditors will have a second eye when it comes to giving us money in the near future. So these are the implications.
Let me hear from Roberta now. Roberta, if everything is okay now, share with us what you make of the IMF deal and whether as an entrepreneur, really this will help you. And then you could also tell us about whether the current stability of the city has helped your business in any way.
Okay. All right. So with the IMF, obviously this is not the first time our government is going on IMF, and nothing changed before. I don't think anything will change because of the kind of leaders we have. I mean, the problem is not the government going to IMF. The problem is, what are they doing? What are they going to do with the money given them? Is it going to help to an extent? Is it going to help the average Ghanaian? Is it going to help someone like me, a very young entrepreneur, at the end of the day? So I don't think the real question is, after going to IMF, what next? What next? Because this is not the first, it's not the second, this is not the third. So I think real work has to be done from the top. They really have to, whatever money they are getting has to be managed well, so that those of us at the bottom can also benefit. And for me, as an entrepreneur, the city appreciating. So I do not directly import. I deal with middlemen, so suppliers. I have suppliers who do the importation, then I go for stock from them. And this week, some of them have been good. Some of them have reduced their prices, but others are still adamant. I don't think anything has been done to regulate that. I think there has to be certain measures put in place so that because the city has appreciated, then you as an importer have to reduce your prices so that those of us coming for goods can also benefit to some extent. So yes, it's been 50-50. It's been 50-50. Some are doing well, others are just adamant because to them this is only how do we call it? It's only a time of that. They think that right after Christmas things are going back to how it used to be. So yeah, so I think, and I can understand them too. So yeah, it's been 50-50 for me as an entrepreneur because I deal with middlemen. I don't really have the power over the price of my goods. Yeah.
John, you wanted to say something to Roberta as a consumer. It says not everyone is really the price. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she is right, but like I said earlier on, we are doing our possible best to also make things calm down a little bit because the heat in town is too much. The heat is really hot, and just yesterday, um, looking at the reduction from the port size, if it's going to be maintained or even go more than that, it will be a good news, and it's also going to reflect on the final consumer. Then again, too, the margin is very huge. Uh, Consignment like second-hand clothing, we used to pay 91,000 duty. But when yesterday the news came, we were paying almost like 56,000. So look at the margin; it's very huge. But we just also trying to appeal to our members, look at the situation, and also help the retailers so that at least they can also, because at the end of the day, it will reflect. The final consumer is the one who is going to suffer. So if there has been a reduction coming from the top, we should let it follow and get to the final consumer. But we are telling the government that this is a good initiative, but they shouldn't just take us for granted. Like I was telling you, the little that we have, if we go and reduce the prices again, and tomorrow another breaking news, meaning you just want to finish us. So if he thinks what he's doing, he can continue and maintain it. We are also going to do our best to reduce it. I think it's been 3 months, 3 weeks now that this BOG reduction started reflecting. And before you can import, you do your process. It takes a couple of weeks or time before even the container can get on board. And before the container to move from the port of loading to the port of discharge, which is Tema Port, it will take maybe 3 weeks or even 1 month, or with the transshipment ones can even take more than 2 months, depending on where you are loading your consignment.
So what you're saying is that the consumer should not expect drastic reduction as they see the CD appreciating.
Yeah, we are going to adjust prices. That one is rest assured. But they shouldn't over
expect.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, we will be coming closer to the end of the conversation, looking at the way forward and expectation for next year. But before that, let's quickly listen to the finance minister. This week, he's been speaking, giving some assurances. Let's take a listen to him, and then we'll quickly come and wrap up.
Ghana's domestic debt program was launched on Monday, 5th December 2022. The objective of the program is to reduce Ghana's current debt burden and its servicing implications on our economy. The program is designed to achieve this in the most orderly, transparent, efficient, and expedited manner. It is critical to restoring macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. The government has continued to dialogue extensively with various stakeholders, including regulators and representatives across the pensions, banking, asset management, and insurance sectors. We have discussed with them the rationale behind the domestic debt exchange program, understood their perspectives, and taken their feedback. Ultimately, confidence and the active participation of all stakeholders are the essential elements for the success of this debt exchange program. As such, government is committed to laying out a path towards attaining debt sustainability informed by sound technical analysis and broad stakeholder engagement. Following the launch and as part of the broader macroeconomic and structural reforms, the IMF and government signed off a staff-level agreement on 13 December 2022 for a US $3 billion extended credit facility. So far, we have all witnessed the gains of the CD over the past week, as well as the attainment of the staff-level agreement in near record time. These are results of our collective efforts. As 1 Samuel 30:19 says, nothing was missing, great or small. We must and we will collectively recover all. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to recover all, we still have a lot of work to do before the end of the year in order to gain the full benefit of the debt exchange program. Following the stakeholder engagement, government has agreed to extend the expiration date for the domestic debt exchange to 30th December 2022 to allow for key concerns raised by stakeholders to be accommodated in some form. The launch of the debt exchange program, coupled with the signing of the staff-level agreement with the IMF, have aided our stability efforts and have in particular contributed significantly to the rebound of our currency.
Okay, so that's the finance minister. I want us to just wrap up the conversation and look at next year, because all of us have raised concern about the economy and also what really the situation is. I'll come to you, Mr. Adjei, first. We know that the labor that you belong to are declaring strike next week, December 27. if you really don't hear anything from government related to your pension funds as part of the restructuring of the debt. Share with us what really that action, why this action, and what can prevent you from going on strike after the Christmas break.
Thank you very much. Before I go to that, just to correct something Mr. Nim said earlier about the debt restructuring, that government is extending the payments to future dates or latter dates.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of spreading the interest payment, that you won't get any interest.
No, but it is not going to be the same interest rates. That is one.
Okay.
Two, we are going to lose the interest payments for next year, for instance. So it shouldn't appear as if government is supposed to pay me 100 million today, he's saying I don't have 100 million, and therefore I'm going to pay you maybe 50 million up to a future date. That is not the issue. He is denying us even that 100 million for next year, which is going to be 0%, and then in the subsequent graduation, it's going to be 5%. Before the following year, 10%, which is a lower percentage than what we have on current bonds. And that is where our issue, in line with the question you have just asked, is that after the Christmas festivities, the demand we have made is that we are ready to engage. But because of the way all this process has been handled, our demand is take out the pension funds, take it out, then let's sit and talk. So after the Christmas festivities, if government fails to take out the pension funds, which will allow us then to now engage and see how to handle this, then of course we are going to embark on our action, and we are resolved on that. Organized labor, we have met. The decision has been taken. We are already in red attire and red bands, as you can see me, because contrary to what the audio you just played, what the minister said, contrary to that, I think he has not told the world and the country the whole truth. Labor, which is a key stakeholder, has not been engaged. So where from the broad stakeholder consultation? And in the consultations, how was it done? The consultation was in this form. You will be called, they tell you, this is the situation we find ourselves, so this is what we are going to do. People say, no, can we look at this? Can we look at this? They said, okay, we've heard you. You go away, and they go ahead to do whatever they want. Is that engagement? Is that consultation, the kind of consultation we want to do? In this crisis we find ourselves, we think, no, that is not the kind of engagement we should be doing. We should be doing proper and deeper engagement, as Mr. Enim has said earlier, where we are all at the table. Because for crying out loud, this is not someone's private business we are talking about. This is not someone's private property we are talking about. We are talking about a country where citizens and workers like us, traders and individual business people like Roberta and John, want things to be done so that once workers, those of us working, earn enough, all right, then we can also purchase the services and products that John and Roberta and co are engaging in. Then we are all living, we are helping each other. Then we are living a comfortable life. So if government, through its own expenditure patterns and ways of doing things, has landed all of us into this mess, then the least they can do is to be open and bring all of us on the table and say, look, guys, it didn't work. I did my best. But how do we all help to salvage this? That alone would have been enough commitment. But to look down on sectors and openly display that we are not important in the conversation. And he said it in the audio. They have engaged the pension funds, the banking, and the insurance. I mean, the money is not for the banks. It's not for the pension funds or the schemes. The money is for us. So we have written to all our pension funds and insurers that they cannot and they should not go into this debt restructuring program. And that is our simple message. And it can be done. Government should just announce that we have withdrawn the pension funds. Now let's sit down and have the conversation and do things properly. And we are determined as Labour, at least from where I sit as General Secretary of Public Services Workers Union of tuc-Ghana, that we are not going to go this path again. After we come out of this crisis, we are going to insist that this economy is managed in a way that we don't find ourselves in this crisis. And we use every legitimate means, including strikes, to make sure that things are done properly for the benefit of the citizens of this country.
And are you hopeful of next year, just as your final word, are you hopeful of next year in terms of the prospects for the country? Of course, we are told that there's a likelihood that we'll get the IMF deal being announced or being announced as being secured. What's your expectation for next year?
No, we are hopeful in the fact that we cannot continue to do things the way we used to. If we continue, of course, it's disaster for all of us. So we are hopeful that at least for next year, whatever happens, going to IMF or not, we are not going to continue to manage things the way they are. But it is going to be a bit tough. We'll have to ride the rough road somehow. And I agree with Roberta and John that these things don't take immediate effect. I don't have confidence yet in the reductions that we've seen in the exchange rate or the appreciation of the cedi and all that. We've not been told exactly what measures have been taken because Russia-Ukraine is still on. It has not stopped, okay? The COVID challenges are not over, which are the reasons government told us that they are doing their best, but because of this, things are still hard. Inflation is still where it is. Okay, so what did they do? What happened? What magic did we do in these 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get these things down? What is the magic? We need to know. They are not telling us. They are not telling us, but they have already come to claim credit. That is because of the measures they have put in place. What are the measures? They are not telling us. Mr. Enim is there. He's not part of government, but he's an economic expert. I don't know if he can explain to us what exactly government did. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful. So prices, I don't see prices coming down, I mean, anytime soon. But if what is really happening for the exchange rate, the changes we are seeing, if what is really happening is something credible and sustainable that has been done, then that is what we want. We'll all be happy. But as at now, our government has not been able to come and tell us, it is this, we did this and that and that. And that is why it's coming down. And we hope to continue. I have not heard that. Yeah. So I don't really trust it, but we can only be hopeful. Yeah.
Let me come to Roberta. Roberta, quickly, what's your expectation for next year? Likely Ghana will get a bailout. You really don't think that that is the panacea to solving the problem, but any expectation for next year? Roberta, can you hear me? Roberta? Okay, I'll come to Roberta later. John, just share with me your expectation for next year. You think things will get better?
Yeah, we are hoping that the government will continue with their effort to maintain the cedi appreciation. That is our hope for next year. And that way the government will be more stabilized. You know, businesses will be more effective and things will get better. In fact, we do acknowledge the hard work of the government so far regarding the cedi appreciation. And we continue to urge him to do more as we appeal to the government to also, the public to reduce the prices of goods and services for the final consumer to have a feel of this new positive change. This is our hope for next year.
Okay. Quickly to Doc, can you share with us, if you can answer the question of Mr. Adjei, that what magic do you think really is responsible for the appreciation of the currency since last week? Again, because Russia-Ukraine war is still ongoing, like he mentioned. The government gave that as a reason. Just share with us why we are seeing this appreciation and what really ought to be done in ensuring that next year gets better for Ghanaians.
Thank you very much, Ike. You know, he's perfectly right. I mean, it wasn't as a result of any policy intervention. I know the currency market is largely driven by speculation. If you recall, the very moment it was announced that we had staff level agreement with the IMF, and the city started appreciating. What it means is that the heavyweight in the economy who were holding on to the dollar, trading in the dollar, realized that, look, pretty soon we could have some fund coming to beef up BOG reserve. And if it lands, the city could appreciate better, and that will affect the value of the dollar they hold. So quickly they started releasing it to the market, testing it, just like he said. And I have cautioned that it's too early for us to start celebrating and taking credit, because this is more artificial. Okay, so we need to ensure that we have a policy on ground to really take advantage of what is happening, anchor the further appreciation of the city. So it is an artificial phenomenon as a result of the announcement that we have finalized deals with the IMF, and we could be expecting more inflow into the economy. And that's the reason which we have started experiencing the appreciation. But it wasn't because a deliberate policy, it wasn't as a result of a deliberate policy, or Bank of Ghana has released so much liquidity into the market. So this is what is happening. So it will be very unfortunate for the managers of the economy. They need to rather pray and focus and ensure that we realign our policies so that the very moment the IMF money comes, we could go further, the city could further appreciate better for businesses to strive very well. And then I guess we could also benefit from it, because of course prices of goods and services will be less, because of our economy is largely import driven, and all of us can enjoy and have a better living standard. So that's it. In respect of 2023 is not going to be an easy year. In fact, it takes time for an economic policy to bring about a ripple effect. Now, an inflow of IMF money will not bring about growth. It's not about growth. It's about stability. It's just to help you stabilize your macroeconomic environment, your exchange rate regime. Even inflation, it will not have effect immediately, because what is driving inflation is cost. Okay? And I've heard that very soon utility prices will even go up. And so you are able to deal with those fundamentals. Even with IMF money, you still have inflation going up. So IMF inflow is not going to bring about growth in an economy, but largely just to stabilize the macroeconomic environment. And with the right policy framework, then within the medium term, you can now springboard and bring about a growth. So 2023 still is going to be very tough. It's going to be very difficult. We should expect more agitation from labor, but I'll take this as a platform and appeal to my big brother, Mr. Bernard Adjei, and then his union, that government is hot. They have created the mess already, and they failed to consult. But here we are. In fact, further strike action could deepen the cracks and worsen the economic situation. So if government should approach them that, oh, we have erred and we are ready to negotiate with you, I'll plead with them so that they have a very fruitful consultation negotiation, so that we can push the economy forward. Because with the strike action 2023, then the economy will sink into an oblivion. So this is my humble appeal. And I'm equally appealing to government to do the needful. They shouldn't say they have the political power so they can use it anyhow. Not at all. Critical stakeholders in an economy is very important. I have indicated over and over that no economic policy, even if it is designed by Adam Smith of blessed memory, will not yield any dividend if your stakeholders do not embrace it. And that's the reason which consultation and dialogue is very key. So government, Mr. Honorable Kenoforiata and his team should do the needful, approach all critical stakeholders and say, look, we have heard from the Genesis, we are about to cross the Red Sea. How do we draw and go about it? So this is my summation. Thank you.
And finally, to you, Roberta, share with us your final words. What's your expectation for next year? You think things will get better? What are you looking up to as an entrepreneur? Roberta, can you hear me? Okay, so it's difficult to hear Roberta, but we'll have to end the conversation. Can you hear me, Roberta? Roberta, can you hear me lastly? Okay, so I think that we'll have to end the conversation here. Let me just read one message that came through that says, "It's very sad to see a fellow African country suffering as Ghana has suffered." The question one was to ask about the debts which the country has accumulated, is how necessary were some of the loans? I mean, just a legitimate question that was being asked there. For those of us who are watching, well, I've been having a conversation with my panelists. They include Dr. Daniel Enim Amati, an economist. Bernard Adjei is a general secretary of the Public Services Workers Union of TUC. Let me correct that. John Obriyabwa is with the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, and Roberta Foley is an entrepreneur, founder of the Style Hub Enterprise. Thanks so much for watching this. My name is Isaac Kaleji. Join us again and next time when we come your way with another live conversation on Facebook. Thank you all of you, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance to all of you. Okay, bye.